I remember being so sick of my own shit and seeing other people sell and seeing other people make money and coaches all over Facebook making money and selling. And I'm like, how do they do it? Wait, how does this work? And one day, it was a Sunday. I was living in Chicago at the time. And I had an idea in the shower. I don't know how, but it was God speaking, probably.
Okay.
And he said, you need to expose 30 truths about yourself for 30 days. Whoever likes it, great. Whoever doesn't, that's not your problem. Go. And I was in the shower and I'm like, rolled up in the towel, went to my computer, and I basically made the announcement post. If you guys want access to the announcement post, you can download the Expose Your Truth Challenge. It's free. I actually turned that into a freebie, but really I was announcing that I was going to reveal 30 truths about myself and share all the wisdom that I had about marketing, all the lessons that I had learned in my life. And whoever thought that was their vibe, cool. And if they didn't feel like it was their vibe, they couldn't follow me. Welcome to Exposed, the show that gives you the raw truth about what it really takes to build a multi-million-dollar coaching business and a life that you're obsessed with. I'm your host, Juliana Garcia, marketing strategist and master coach. And after building a multi-million-dollar business from scratch, each week, I want to take you behind the scenes with actionable business strategies and profound mindset shifts to help you create wealth from the inside and out, so that you can become the exception to the rule in the coaching industry. I'm exposing the uncomfortable truths, the failures, and the topics that most podcasts don't dare to talk about. So let's dive into today's episode.
So we left off in the last episode talking about your mentor telling you, you're not going to make money as a coach. You told him, I want to be a coach. And he said, don't do it. Coaches don't make money.
Right.
We've also kind of determined too that mindset and the story that you tell yourself and also like the decision that you make about what you want for your life means that you can have those things. I want to talk about your failures. The whole purpose of this episode is like, okay, your first client to your first million, but I can only imagine all of the failures in between your first client and your first million, because you mentioned this in the last episode, how you failed so many times and you've done the wrong thing and you've put yourself into debt and you've sunk the ships, you've burned the bridges. So I want to know what it was like to face failure and be confronted with, the potential, like I could be failing. First, I want to hear about your first client. So we left it off. He told you that's not a good idea. What happened next?
Okay. I was terrified to call myself a coach. No way in hell I would call myself a coach. Because at the time, coaching was beginning. It was like 2014. It was already a thing, but people had their thoughts about coaches. And I had a lot of very successful friends that I had met coming to America and being friends with entrepreneurs in San Diego, mecca of entrepreneurship. And people just hated coaches, but a lot of negative thoughts about coaches. So I was like, I don't want to be a coach. I would never call myself a coach. And I spent so much time thinking what could be another title, mentor, consultant. I just would not admit I want to be a coach. And one day I actually joined a coaching program and I got coached very directly by this coach that influenced me so deeply, Garcia. And she coached me directly and she said, wait, do you want to help coaches with their marketing? Because at the time I was helping them just with their marketing. I'm not a coach, I'm a consultant, I'm an agency, person, but I was wanting to become a coach. And I said to her, I want to become a coach. And she said, yeah, but you believe that coaches don't make money. So in what integrity can you stand to help somebody if you don't believe they can make it? Like, you need to clean that up if you ever want to become a coach or make money with this business helping coaches. And I was like, oh my God, I felt so called out because I knew that she was right. Those two things could not coexist. I want to make money helping coaches, but I don't believe that they can make money. Not going to help my clients. Or I want to become a coach, but I don't want to call myself a coach. It just did not compute in reality. So that's when I decided to let go of my agency and actually start working on getting my first coaching client. And that was so hard because the first thing that I had to admit just to myself is I'm a coach. Just that took me months.
How did you do that? Like, was there like a daily practice? Do you journal? Yeah. Do you meditate? Like, what does that actually look like?
Yeah. So the coaching that I received was, instead of focusing on all the coaches that don't make money, focus on the coaches that do make money.
Show yourself what's possible.
Yeah. Stop going down the rabbit hole of all the people that you see that are broke. What about the people that are millionaires? How are they doing it? What are they thinking? And I started realizing, oh my God, there's actually quite a few people that are making a lot of money as a coach. So that's tip number one. if you think I can make money with this offer, with this niche or whatever, focus on the people who are making money with it. And think about, I wonder how they solved for the problem that I have today. How are they thinking about this problem that I have right now?
I think a lot of coaches second guess themselves with pricing because you decide what your pricing is. You feel pretty good about it. You launch your offer, you put it out into the world, and then you're like, can they afford it? Is this valuable? Are they going to understand? So what happened when you launched your first offer? Like, did you ever feel this way? Did you fail? Like, was it a failure?
Yeah, it was a total failure.
Why?
It was a total failure. So, okay, I decided I'm a coach. Great. And I spent 8 months building this funnel because I came from the mentality that, what I was doing before, I was helping coaches with large audiences build a funnel, and a funnel that looked like you sell a $7 gift and then a $27 offer and then maybe a $297 offer and then maybe a $997 offer. So it was like you have to work really hard to get a $997 sale. I was under the mentality that was the way to build a business, funnels. So I went ahead and applied the same business model to myself. And that requires a lot of work. You need to build landing pages. You need to write copy. It takes the same amount of energy to sell something that's $7 and something that's $7,000. So the page that you need to write in order to sell something that's $7 needs to be as compelling as something for $7,000. So I was writing sales pages. I was hiring copywriters. I was getting deeper into debt. At this point, I probably had like $30,000 in debt. And I was like, okay, I'm investing in my business. I'm going to do it. Hired all these people to help me run ads, grow my audience. And I launched my first program, which was a Soulful Marketing Academy. I invested $10,000 all up in copywriters, ads, all the things. And I made $2,000, which was one client. I got one client. It was such a failure because she didn't need anything in the portal. She just needed me to coach her through some mindset things. And then I was teaching her all these funnels. She didn't need that. And that's when I recognized, wait, I'm applying the wrong business model, my stage of business, into my client stages. Like I knew a lot about marketing and sales, but for a different type of client, somebody who has an audience, who has 1 million followers, then it makes sense to maybe have a membership, have a low ticket offer.
I think every coach can relate to prepping for a launch, hustling, building everything, creating the landing pages, doing all the things, and like having such an anticipation for the launch. Then it launches and then you only get one person.
Yeah.
And it's sad that it's like you only get one person because that one person is a paying client. But tell me about what you learned. Like, what was the reality of getting that one paying client?
Yeah.
It was $2,000. You mentioned that you overshot like what you were giving, or it's almost like you were undervaluing what you were giving. So I think a lot of coaches can also relate to this of like overselling their time or putting together an offer and not really thinking through the realities of like what it means
to deliver.
Yeah. What was the reality of that?
Well, I got my first client and I remember I had a boyfriend at the time and we were in a taxi going out to dinner. And I was like, I made $2,000. Like, I thought it was the coolest thing ever. Someone was paying me not to build their marketing, but to coach them. I was like, holy shit, this is amazing. So I think I've always been on the, wow, this is amazing energy, like, yay me. And also, okay, well, I got one client and now I'm in more debt. The first thing that I did is I did an analysis of what worked, what didn't work, and what am I going to do differently. And that's something that I always teach my clients to evaluate after a launch because we're so quick to make a judgment, not evaluate, try again without all the information. So the things that I learned that really didn't work were many. First of all, I overcompensated for my fear of visibility by doing ads. I was so afraid to post on my Facebook about my offer that I relied on ads to build a Facebook group and to sell to strangers. So I thought, I don't have an audience. I need to build an audience. Let me do a bunch of ads. And it was my first time launching. My message wasn't clear. I thought it was clear, but it was just not obviously attracting the right people. I needed to burn a lot of money to get to, a good audience. Ads are difficult. It's a long-term game. And also, I quit halfway through my launch.
You did?
Yeah, like I had maybe 20 emails to send. And through day 14, I stopped sending the emails because I just thought no one is going to buy. I had this one person that bought after I stopped posting.
Really?
Yeah, after I stopped sending the emails.
I was going to ask, is it common with your clients that they, in the middle of a launch, feel like, oh, my butt's clenching. I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I'm scared. No one's going to buy, so I'm just going to stop posting about it. Like, they stop talking about it too soon.
Totally. Oh, I don't hear anyone coming. We expect people to be like, whoa, this is amazing. But what happens is what I was doing was hiding for 8 months, building all these funnels and these emails and thinking about this program. But I wasn't in connection with my audience. I wasn't even building an audience with anybody. I was just, okay, I'm going to have ads that will convert. And these are people who don't know me. Why would they want to pay me $2,000 all of a sudden after seeing a 3-day training? Like, I had no rapport built with anybody. Meanwhile, I was so afraid to post on my Facebook because I had a lot of friends. And for me, it wasn't my family that I felt like they would judge me or anything. I had friends that were very successful. I remember this one friend. He had the worst thoughts about coaches. He's like, all these Facebook coaches thinking they can help people. And I was like, oh my God, I don't want to call myself a coach. I was so afraid to be judged by my peers because I wanted to be accepted. And so I really wish I had started organically the way that I ended up doing it, sharing online, but I was so afraid to do it. I was so afraid to show up online, to be visible. So I hid behind the ads. And I knew I had that fear, but I was just trying to hide it and find a different way to not confront it. So mistake number 1, wasting time building funnels. Mistake number 2, giving up halfway through the launch. I should have sent all the emails because what I have learned after making more than $7 million at this point in my business is that a lot of people buy at the last minute. And holding the belief throughout your entire launch is everything. And we're going to get to that later for all the later launches. But I lost my belief. I was like, no one's going to buy. So my action was, okay, stop sending the emails. Who knows how much money I would have made? Who knows if I had actually made the money? That might have helped me like at least...
You would have broke even.
But I never knew. I was like, no one's listening. I guess I'm just going to stop here. So if you're listening to this, go through with the entire thing. At least you will have the full data and you won't be thinking, oh, I wish I had done it. What would have happened? I still have that question. But I'm glad it happened that way because it helped me see, okay, I'm applying the wrong business model to my stage of business. I was beginning. I didn't have a big audience. That business model did not apply to me. Just because bigger people were doing it and I was like, well, that's successful. They're making money. It just did not apply to my beginning stage.
You feel like you're failing almost if you're not doing a 150K launch because you see other people doing it. But then I really appreciate that you're saying like I was applying the wrong model to where I was in the stage of my business. Because that is something that I know as a coach, and I know so many coaches do. You overcomplicate it in your head. You think about it, you're building the funnels. You're like, oh, and what about this email and this automations and this and this and this? And you spend so much time behind the scenes when the truth is you need to stop overcomplicating it. So if you could go back to first launch Juliana and tell her, what would you tell her to focus on? What would you tell her to do? Because clearly she was overcomplicating it, but like, what would the simple steps be?
Yeah. Simplicity is the way. And that's my value in my business. This is what has helped me go so quickly from where I was to multi-millions. Literally is what I tell my clients. 2 offers max and start with a premium offer. Why? Because we need your business to be cash flow positive. We need you to have cash flow. And it takes the same amount of energy to sell something that is $2,000 or $500 and something that is $20,000 or $5,000. It takes the same amount of energy. You need to sell, you need to market, you need to deliver. So if you're a coach and you know you're really good at what you do and you help your clients create an amazing transformation, then why are you charging $2,000 for 6 months? You are going to not only be burnt out, but you're also going to be resenting your business. You're going to resent your clients because you're going to be showing up every time on that call, coaching them, being like, I'm not making enough money. So I wish that I knew back then what I know now, but I didn't know that at the time. I had to learn it by making that mistake and then getting coached to believe something different, to understand that there's a different business model option, which is what ended up happening at the time.
So you didn't have a coach when you launched your first program. At what point did you get a coach?
I started shopping for coaches after that. I was like, okay, I think I need somebody to show me the way.
Yeah.
And I got a coach probably a year later. Look, I was an overthinker. I was a perfectionist. I was afraid to invest. I had already a lot of debt. I felt like I should know this. I felt like a fraud. I knew marketing. Why was the marketing that I was doing not working? I was so afraid to tell somebody I need help with getting clients because I'm a marketer. I'm helping people with marketing, but it's not working. There was so much shame that I had about everything that it was eating me up every day. So I'm not an overnight success that's been built for like 10 years.
Well, it takes 10 years to become an overnight success. That's the quote. Yeah.
Like literally 2014, like we're in 2024. 2014 is when all of this, my whole journey began. So it was a slow burn. Like my first year of business, I made $2,017. The $2,000 she paid and the $17 like low ticket offer that she bought. Like literally I didn't make money and I was in debt. So I was looking for jobs. I'm like, maybe I should get a job. Maybe I should. And I just kept on saying, no, I'm not going to get a job. I totally should have gotten a job to help myself, but I didn't. I just kept on going. Okay. So long story short, I hired my first coach probably like almost under a year after that. And I paid $10,000 for that coach for 6 months of coaching. It was 3 times a month. We would meet and she would coach me. And I was the worst client. I was in scarcity. I was in fear. I was in doubt. Like, you know how they say your niche should be you a few years?
Yeah.
Before?
Like you're best suited to serve the person you once were.
Yeah. That's a false belief. That's the worst advice I have ever heard. Had I done that, I would be attracting more those Julianas at the time. And I love myself and I respect, like, I have so much love and compassion for that version of me. It doesn't mean that I have to now speak to the person who is confused, doesn't know what to do, is in scarcity, doesn't know how to pay rent. No. So I was not a great client, but she taught me sales. She taught me just how to get myself out there, how to work through those fears. But I just didn't listen. I was so stubborn. I just did not listen. I was so afraid. I'm like, you don't understand. It's so much more complicated. And she offered me the simple way. She's like, just sell whatever, sell it. And I'm like, no, it has to be this course and this program. And I was so attached that it had to be some like magnificent thing. I didn't believe in myself as a coach. I was like, just didn't think that I was enough. So I was overcomplicating it. And then I was closing the container with that coach and I had come across a different coach and I went to their live event and they made an offer for $50,000. It was a mastermind for $50,000. And everything that coach said is exactly what I needed. I needed help attracting clients without funnels. I needed help with getting a cash flow positive business. I needed help with selling a premium offer because I'm a really good devoted coach that underpricing myself was just gonna burn me out.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a bunch of credit cards and I put down $50,000.
Were you freaking out?
Of course.
Also, were you like, that's too much? Or did you believe this is going to be the thing? Because I just said to you before we started recording, I hired a coach and it turned out being like not a great use of my money. Did it hold me accountable to the vision that I have for my life? Absolutely. But like, it didn't give me what I thought I was going to get out of that experience.
Yeah.
So when you were entering that $50,000 to put yourself in the mindset of being able to spend that or invest that in on yourself, take me through that thought process.
I'm so grateful that this person helped me to that vision of myself, that I was a premium client. I did not think of myself as a premium client. My bank account was not showing it. I lied about how much money I was making. I was like, I'm making $100,000 a year. I was nowhere near making $100,000 a year. I saw myself as somebody that would do that. And he's like, wow, I thought you were making more. I was like, like I just was so delusional with what I wanted. A. Number two, the way he held the belief was so powerful. And I will always be grateful for that. I had so much fear, but at the same time, the way he communicated the offer was like, I need that. I went from not having the money. I mean, I did not have the money to getting resourceful and getting the money, all because of the way he communicated the value of his offer. And that's what I was struggling with my whole life, communicating in a way that landed. And that's what I knew was the thing that I wanted to help people with. I mean, he's a salesperson. He was not teaching messaging or anything, but I knew that was my unlock, being able to articulate the value of what I can do in a way that resonates with people. So I was just convinced that he could help me. I'm like, I will do it. I got all these credit cards and I paid and then the work began. That's when I got my first premium client.
Tell me the difference between a premium client and a not premium client. Like, what's the difference? I mean, you even said this guy made you feel like I'm premium. I don't feel premium, but he's making me feel like I can be. So what is the differentiator there?
To me, what a premium client is someone not just that pays you a lot of money, but somebody who shows up in a premium way. That's what the definition of a premium client is. I don't want somebody who's going to pay me, but then is going to be doubting the process, doubting me, doubting themselves, like the client that I was. I paid $10,000, but I was doubting the process, doubting her, just not taking action. That's not premium. So a premium client to me is who I became. I became somebody who was willing to invest to a higher degree and also show up in a way where I was coachable. I was going to do the work. I was going to believe. I was going to borrow his belief in me, and I was going to do the thing. I was just going to take the steps. So I started implementing what I was learning. That strategy did not work for me long term. It was a lot of like outreach and sending messages and kind of cold pitching people and all these things. And I learned very quickly that I don't like to go after a sale. I like people to come to me.
You like to attract.
That's why my program is called Magnetize and Monetize. That's why I actually coined the term magnetic marketing back in 2017. When I did that first launch that failed, I was talking about magnetic marketing. So I was always about attracting people. And that program was teaching me a different way. It got me a result. I got my first client. And so she was paying me $6,000 for 3 months of coaching. And I was helping her write content that attracts clients. I was helping her with copywriting. So I was like, yay! Like I got my first premium client. And then the first thought that I had was, I wish I had charged more. She would have paid more because I was getting so good at communicating the value of what I did that when I said $6,000, she paid in full and she was like, oh, I thought I was going to be more. I was like, oh my God. So I was disappointed. And my coach was like, Juliana, be grateful.
This is good.
This is good.
Yeah.
But I was already like, oh, I should have charged more. So the next time I ended up that coaching container and then I didn't have a coach for a while. So I started really stepping into my expression because the process of cold outreach is just not my vibe.
Yeah.
That's just not my vibe. I don't message 100 people and like try to sell them onto things. My vibe was I want people to come to me. So if I want to help people with attracting clients, I need to be the first one to be a product of my own product.
Yeah. You need to live it.
But I was so scared to show up online.
How did you like navigate that though? Because everyone is afraid to show up online.
Well, I remember being so sick of my own shit and seeing other people sell and seeing other people make money and coaches all over Facebook making money and selling. And I'm like, how do they do it? Wait, how does this work? And one day, it was a Sunday. I was living in Chicago at the time. And I had an idea in the shower. I don't know how, but it was God speaking, probably.
Okay.
And he said, you need to expose 30 truths about yourself for 30 days. Whoever likes it, great. Whoever doesn't, that's not your problem. Go. And I was in the shower and I'm like, roll up in the towel, went to my computer and I basically made the announcement post. If you guys want access to the announcement post, you can download the Expose Your Truth Challenge. It's free. I actually turned that into a freebie, but really I was announcing that I was going to reveal 30 truths about myself and share all the wisdom that I had about marketing, all the lessons that I had learned in my life. And whoever thought that was their vibe, cool. And if they didn't feel like it was their vibe, they couldn't follow me. And I made that declaration and I had never posted content consistently in my entire life, let alone vulnerable things, let alone anything that was close to that. So I began the journey and I did not miss a day. I did not miss a day. I remember sharing with people, coaches, that I was doing that. And they're like, oh, don't put pressure on yourself. Just like if you miss a day, like, don't worry, like you can start all over. And I'm like, I'm going to do this. It was a commitment to myself. It was not for anything. It was to me that I wanted to prove to myself that I could do this.
And be seen.
And be seen. Be seen. And I started sharing about my mom, my childhood, but I did it with elegant vulnerability, which is a concept that I developed as I was sharing all my wisdom about marketing. And elegant vulnerability means to share your story and share difficult things about your life, but coming from an empowered place. not coming from a victim mentality, not blaming people for what they did, but saying, I'm so grateful that happened because. So the Expose Your Truth challenge was so healing for me because even as I was writing about my mom, about the girls in high school, about ex-boyfriends, I had to put myself in this mentality of like, I want to show the wisdom that I have to offer, and showing up as a victim is not the way that I'm going to create any kind of credibility.
Yeah.
So what is the lesson here? So I would literally pause and I'm like, wait, what's the lesson I got from all the drama with my mom? And I would like literally coach myself through that and find the gold in the shit.
Yes.
And so I shared that for 30 days. And at the end of the 30 days, I signed my first $15,000 client through the Expose Your Truth challenge.
$15,000.
Yes.
Where were you at mentally after sharing and like being so open and vulnerable online? Because it was something that was so scary. And then you were like, oh, I did this for 30 days. Looking back, were you like, this is easy. This isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be?
100%.
All of it?
I was like, oh my God.
What was I making a big deal?
All these years wasted doubting. I could have just done this. That's my only regret in life, that I didn't start earlier. I wish I had done that when I first had the thought, I want to become a coach. I wish I had said, okay, let's talk about the wisdom that I have. Let's talk about my story. I wasted 3 years in doubt, the ads, doing all the things that were trying to protect me from just like exposing myself, exposing my truth. And funny enough, I was trying to be perfect, trying to get it right, trying to be the the expert, when all people wanted was to get to know me and to know, oh, she can help me.
Yeah.
She can help me. She has insights. She's insightful. I need insight. And that's what ultimately we do as coaches. And why some people hire coaches over others is because of the difference between the perspective that someone can offer and somebody who can offer a perspective that is not as enlightening.
Yeah.
Right? We hire somebody that we want to learn from, their mentality, how they did it. Oh, interesting. How did you do that? Oh, interesting. So it's as simple as sharing our mindset. That's marketing. Marketing is sharing your mindset, sharing your wisdom.
How you view the world.
How you view the world. And that's confronting because then you have to really look, oh, is this how I view the world?
Yeah.
And that's why marketing feels so hard for people, because when they sit down to write content, what happens? All your thoughts about, are people going to like me? Is this good enough? I don't know what I'm saying. What if nobody likes it? Oh my God, this is so scary. That is what makes marketing difficult. It's not typing the words. We have the easiest job in the world.
It's like daring to repel people, because you know that if I stand in my truth or if I take a stance on something, then it's going to repel. It's just how it is.
Yeah.
But women are taught to be palatable and taught to be like, make everything nice for everybody. So I can relate to like sitting down and writing copy and like trying to make it appeal to everyone.
Yes.
But if you are trying to appeal to everyone, you reach no one.
That's what the Expose Your Truth challenge was all about. I am committed to helping coaches who want to get compensated for their gifts accordingly to the value that they give. And if somebody thinks that's greedy, if somebody thinks that's too much, fine. And that's my stance today. I still believe in that. And I stood for that back in 2018. And that's still what I stand for. And that's very polarizing, because why should you charge for health coaching? You should do it for free. Like you should help people at a low price point. I mean, why should you? There's so many thoughts about being greedy that women have, especially, that they should be of service. They shouldn't do it for the money.
And also, being a woman, you feel this pressure to not only look perfect on camera, but like say the right thing and like eloquently word everything you want to say, but also feel like you have to tie everything up in a pretty bow and be like, okay, here's the answer. But the best coaches are the perspective, like you said. It's the person who can hold space for your transformation and hold you accountable to your vision. It's not the person who has every single answer to every problem that you're ever going to face. It's somebody that's going to like grab you by the hand and be like, okay, well, let's figure it out together.
Yeah.
And I feel like you were really starting to discover that. So you had the $15,000 client. Were you clear at that time of like, I'm not undervaluing my value? Did you feel good about it?
This is the funniest part. I thought it was a fluke. I was like
a scam?
No, I thought it was a fluke that I got this result. I'm like, it can't be this easy. I thought that was not going to be able to be repeatable. I thought, I got lucky. I never told this story. The story people know is I got my first client. Everything's great after that.
Yeah.
My journey was, oh my God, I got lucky. There's no way that this is possible like over and over again. So what I did is I lowered my price. And the next client I got was 10,000.
Okay.
So this is really when it changed because I was like, okay, I've done this twice. Let me stay at 10,000. So I sold for a whole year at $10,000. And I remember thinking, God, all I want is just one client a month, just one client a month, just one client a month, like just one $10,000 client a month. That's all I wanted, right? Because I went from thinking I need 50 clients to pay me $100 to like, actually, I just need one client a month. And that's the mentality that helped me get behind my business and let things be easy. And also, I started practicing what it would feel like to receive $10,000.
So I want to know, we haven't really talked about your daily practices and rituals. You started in your room watching HBO and like translating and learning English. And like you said, thank God you were alone. Thank God you didn't have friends. Thank God you were in this place in your life where you could foster like space to dream, find your vision, but also get clear on where you wanted to go. So what are your practices and have they changed from the moment you decided you were going to become a coach to now? Like, what is it?
Yeah. I've gone through a lot of different phases of 4-hour morning routine to no morning routine at all. I will be telling you about my morning routine now in the next episode, like the multi-million-dollar morning routine. Your jaw is going to be on the ground. But at the time, I simplified it and I said, my only job is to feel the feeling of receiving $10,000.
Like normalizing it.
And feeling in that vibration as much as possible. I want to be there because when we're in the vibration of having something, then we are a match for it. So instead of being, I want a $10,000 client, but I don't see them, where are they? I shifted into, wait, 2 people have paid me? That means there's more. If there's 1 and there's 2, there's got to be more. So I can't wait to see where the next one comes from. And that was, I didn't realize it, but that's like a manifestation principle.
Yeah.
Feeling the feeling ahead of time, which is what I had been doing my whole life, anticipating, oh my God, like it's happening.
Loving the unknown.
Yeah, being in the unknown. So this is the journey. I said one client a month, one client a month, one client a month. Month 1 comes, no clients. Month 2 comes, 1 client. So I got another one. And then 3 months in a row, no $10,000 clients. I was like, I'm not dropping my belief. I know it's happening. It will happen. I know. Like I started to really develop a lot of kindness for myself and believe in it's going to happen no matter what. But I was still like crying to my boyfriend. I'm like, it's not working. Oh my God. Like literally he held me together because I was just so up and down. But there's something in me was like, I think it's going to happen. What happened on month, whatever, 6, I think it was. 3 clients came in 1 week. And that's what I understood, that the concept of time and releasing the timeline. Because as coaches, I don't know why in the coaching industry, there's this whole thing about 10K months, 20K months, 50K months, consistency. And the reality is that business is not always like that. Mm-hmm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's holding the belief, wait, this is what I want. So I wanted $100,000 that year. But then when I got those 3 clients, I was like, oh, I just made up all the clients that I didn't think they were coming. They were always coming. I never stopped showing up. I never stopped feeling the feeling. So my practice was very simple. Feel the feeling. Whenever I caught myself not feeling it, I'm like, it's okay. Yeah. What if it happens?
Like let that go and then like just tune in.
And then the second thing was show up every day and really keep exposing your truth, keep offering value and talk about a problem people have. What is a problem that you can help them with? Why is that happening in their lives? Why it makes total sense that they haven't fixed it? What they need to do instead and how you can help them. That was the structure of my content.
So you just showed up every day posting the same thing. I think that's part of it too. It feels like, oh, I already talked about that yesterday. Oh, I posted that yesterday, or I already posted that this week. Can you speak a little bit to like repeating yourself?
Oh my God. So this is the thing that I love talking about because it's one of the reasons why I've been successful. One thing that I am not is I am not a visionary that has ideas all the time. Like I have a business idea, Woo, woo, woo. I'm like, I pray to God for so long when I was not making money, when I was in that agency and when I wanted to become a coach, I was like, God, just tell me what to do as a coach and I will do it and I will commit to it and I will run till the end if you just give me clarity because we didn't talk about this before, but a big part of the suffering, the failure period of my time before I started making money was I was unclear about what kind of coach I wanted to be.
Yeah. And you were struggling with the identity of like saying I'm a coach.
Yeah. So what I did is I spent a whole year aligning my chakras, buying crystals and doing tarot readings and finding psychics and going to Sedona, trying to find in the ethereal the answers. And none of that helped. None of that helped me get a result. The only thing that started helping me was when I took action, was when I started doing the Expose Your Truth challenge.
Letting yourself be seen.
When I literally did the damn thing, instead of like, let me heal all my traumas in order to make money. Let me tap for wealth.
Yeah.
It was all a waste of fucking time. I mean, yes, good. But if you're not having the mindset and taking the action, it's not going to work. So I was doing all the spiritual things, but I was not taking the action because I was terrified. And that's why the Expose Your Truth challenge helped me align the two things and let go of the mentality that I needed to heal, that I wasn't made for money, that life had to be hard, that money had to be hard. I was like, actually, I just need to be myself and then own it every day and be repetitive and talk about how I can help you with your content. That's how I started, coaching. And I just did it over and over and over again. That's how things started compounding and compounding. And at the end of the year, I made $123,000.
So you achieved your goal, even when for months there was no sign of that being possible. Wow. I was thinking about, I know I'm like referencing our first conversation, but I know that everyone's probably listened to that one. But like when you were in your room dreaming and like just this knowing that you had about the life that you were meant to have, you didn't think about the how then. It's only when we like get in our own way and we get through the process and then we start to think, well, like, how is this realistic? How is this going to happen? And you spend so much time thinking about like, is this even possible?
Yeah.
And you're blocking yourself.
Yeah.
So every day, do you have like almost like money making tasks? Like it's almost like, okay, I brush my teeth every day. I meditate every day, but I post about my offers every day.
Every day.
I talk about how I can solve your problems every day. Like what are the things that are the money making tasks that you do every day that move the needle forward in your business?
So here's the thing, that in order for me to make money, I had to be much gentler with myself. And I had to stop self-punishing because I thought I needed to be perfect in order to make money.
Yes.
And I started to prove myself, actually, I can be imperfect and make money. So my first thing in the morning when I wake up is, oh my God, I'm alive. And I think because I'm an immigrant and I went through a really difficult immigration process, both in Australia, both here in America, I was in a lot of unknowns about whether I was going to be kicked out of the country or not. Going through Trump being the president, not liking Latina, Mexicans. And I was in the bucket of Mexican, even though I'm not Mexican. There was a lot of unknowns that I could just not be here. So I was struggling with just hoping that I could get a chance to be in America. So for me, once that went through, which is at the time when the Expose Your Truth challenge started happening, is like once I said yes to myself, it's like the universe just backed me up. And that's when, for me, my first thing is, oh my God, I'm in America. Holy shit. I already won. It's starting with the basics, the appreciation. And I have your back. I love you. Maybe these days going to be hard. We don't know, but I'm going to have your back. I'm going to be there. That's the first thing that I do every morning. And I start calling in the feelings that I want to feel throughout the day. Like, ooh, I want to feel delighted. I want to feel rich. Like I want to feel getting paid. I love the feeling of getting paid. Like, who's going to pay me today? Like,
yes.
Like, who's going to apply today? Like that vibe, I'm like cultivating it the first thing that I do when I wake up. 2 minutes, Next thing that I do is, it's just like it's changed, But at the time, I just knew my number one thing to do to make money was to show up and say, I can help you with the problem that you have. That was the number one. If I just showed up and posted for the day,
on social media. So this isn't even like emails or anything else. This is just social.
I was just doing it on social media at the time. I didn't have a freebie. I just started with social media and I just kept on posting every single day. Eventually, people remembered me for the Expose Your Truth challenge. And they were like, how did you do that? Can I have the prompts? Like, how did you do it? Because they remember me. That was the thing that kind of launched me as a coach. For me, it's simple. Did I show up for me and did I show up for my business?
Yeah.
what do I need? How can I fill my cup? And then how can I fill my business cup? Because my business is not me. My business is a separate entity. I am me. I need nourishment, but not at the cost of my business. My business also needs nourishment. So even though sometimes I don't feel like writing a post and I don't feel like showing up for my business, it's my responsibility to show up for my business. And so my question to me is, okay, today we don't feel like it. Okay, how can I help you feel like it? What can I do to make it easier for you? And it always comes back to, it's like my inner child says, can you just have more fun? Can we just not make this so
serious?
Yeah. Can you be kind to me? So that's the way that I get myself to do things that I resist in my business, because I resisted doing a post every day for the Exposure True Challenge. I thought that was the hardest thing ever. I would spend 6 hours thinking about what to post, and how to write it. So I needed to let it be easier. And I noticed that it was all the perfectionist thinking. I need to say this correctly. And I still sometimes deal with that now.
Yeah.
But the comeback is, I can't fuck this up.
It's mindset and it's strategy.
Always.
It's like revisiting both and kind of like bouncing from one to the other of like, okay, how can I like hone in my mindset? How can I make myself believe that it's possible? How can I feel the feelings that I want to feel? How can I bring myself to this place? But then it's also visiting like, well, how am I moving the needle actually in the business, nourishing my business and like kind of dancing between the two. And I'm sure making changes to both at so many different periods. So you made $123,017 whatever dollars. You've probably to some degree are like, oh my God, it's working. Like things are happening. It's coming. I need to let go of the how and trust the timing. Cause like you said, there were 3 months, nothing happened. And then all of a sudden 3 came pouring in.
Yeah.
So did you sell out your time? Were you able to scale this? Because if you were taking one-on-one clients, did you think, how can I take on more? Can I start a group? Did you start a group coaching program?
So I heard from many coaches, you can only start a group program until you get fully booked with one-on-one clients.
Okay.
And I was like, why? The why in my childhood? I'm like, why? Well,
Why?
That sounds stupid. Why do I have to wait? Like, I'm like, I am not patient. I like things to be whenever I want them to be. So I was like, well, I think at that point I had probably 9 or 7 clients one-on-one. And I decided that I wanted to launch a group program, the Magnetize and Monetize Mastermind. So I always recommend to people who are starting their coaching business, as I've shared, have a premium offer and sell high ticket offers so that you have cash flow in your business and you're not in scarcity and you're not overcomplicating your business. Basically, just learn how to sell the value of your offer. Focus on a couple of clients every month. Okay. Once I started doing that, I learned so much about the actual problems people had. And I was able to come up with a program designed for those problems, to solve those problems. Instead of the mistake that I made in the Soulful Marketing Academy, I just came up with a curriculum that I thought they needed. And they didn't need anything of that. She didn't even look at it. She's like, that's not what I need. So a lot of coaches start by trying to create a curriculum of a program when they haven't even coached one-on-one clients. And they just want to teach knowledge and try to sell it on autopilot. It's not going to work because people don't buy courses, they buy a result. So if you don't know how to get them to a result and you're just teaching them theory, it's not going to last long, your business. People are going to realize this course doesn't work. So the way to do it is coach one-on-one, find out what their problems are. Then you're going to notice the patterns. And that's how I came up with the curriculum for the Magnetize and Monetize Mastermind. I created it, which I totally spent a lot of time trying to do it. And I was really nervous to launch it on my own. So I partnered up with this agency that promised me that they would take the offer to $1 million. And all I had to do was show up and coach, and they would take over the marketing and the sales. And they had a sales team and they would do it all. And I'm like, oh, thank God, because, showing up is a lot of work. Like, if you could just do the marketing and sales, great. So I was really excited and I thought my problems are solved. I'm going to be a millionaire in a year. Great. And what happened was the day before my birthday, they called me and they said, we are no longer going to be part of the partnership because we actually don't believe in what you sell. What you sell is teaching people how to be vulnerable online. Is that what you do? That's just adding noise to the marketplace and it's just never going to work. So we don't want to get your hopes up that this is going to be successful. So we're just going to end the partnership here. And I had been working on the curriculum and I had been working on everything. And I stopped taking one-on-one clients because I was like, I just want to build this curriculum and then they're going to sell it. So I was like, oh my God, what do I do now? It's people who have made millions and millions online telling you your thing is not going to work. It's hard, especially the day before your birthday. I was like, okay, now what? It took me probably a month to decide what I wanted to do next because I was hurt. I was like, oh my God, what do I do now?
Yeah.
Maybe they're right. What if this doesn't work? Maybe I shouldn't be selling this again. Somebody else knows better or rejection. But I decided, okay, well, I'm going to do it on my own. I got to stand by what I say that I believe. And the medicine I needed was, if you're going to teach marketing, why are you outsourcing your marketing?
Yeah.
Right? That was out of integrity with myself. So I was like, okay, I'm going to stand by my work. And that's when I decided to build my email list. And my freebie was the Expose Your Truth Challenge that went viral. We had like 3,000 people sign up. It was all over the internet. People were getting clients left, right, and center. And that's what I did to launch the first round of the Magnetize and Monetize Mastermind. I used my email list and social media.
Yeah.
But I had to build that belief in myself and in my work. And I launched the first round. And the first round, my goal was 10 people. I got 7 people. Actually, I was charging $5,000 at the time. And then I got a couple of one-on-one clients. It was like a $50,000 launch. I was like, fuck yes, like it's happening.
Yeah.
I was just so excited. So I delivered and it was amazing. I felt great. The next problem I had was I don't think that I can coach more than 10 people in a group. Like I didn't know how to scale. How do I was afraid that they were not going to get the results because I was all about one-on-one coaching and laser coaching. So I hired somebody to help me believe that I could group coach because I had such a difficult experience with the first coach I had. It was a group. I didn't feel like they paid attention to me the way that I wanted to. And I just didn't want to be that coach. I was always just very much like, it's all about client delivery and I want to over deliver and I want to make sure that everyone feels amazing. So there's no way that I can have more than 10 people. So energetically, I hired an energy coach that I worked with for 4 years. And we went to all the beliefs that I had and the forgiveness that I had to offer all the previous past experiences where I felt like I didn't get what I needed because that was not serving me. Like when we believe I didn't get what I needed, we're always just creating a trap for us. We're missing the point.
You're like spending your energy on the wrong
We're
things.
missing the point because you always get what you need.
Yeah.
My belief is I always get what I need. So my job is to go back and look at, well, what did I get? What was the $50,000 lesson here? And that mentality of I always get what I need, even when a client says no on the phone, I always sit down and do an evaluation and I look for the $10,000 lesson. At the time I was charging $10,000. I'm like, where did I make $10,000 of value here? That way you're always winning. You're always expanding your wisdom and you're not being like, I'm a victim.
Yeah.
So my mentality really went from nothing about me is victim vibes.
Yeah.
And at the time I did a lot of personal development work and I forgave my mom for not being the mom that I always hoped for her to be. So I was just carrying a lot of resentment about life being hard, people saying no, not getting what I want, and this and that, and blaming people.
Mm-hmm.
And once I released that, I'm like, thank you. You taught me a lot. Thank you. Like, thanks, mom, for choosing to have me at 18. There's no way in hell I would choose to have a baby at 24, even. Like, that's wild. Damn, thank you. You didn't know how to be a mom, but you tried. You tried your best. You did what you could. That was huge for me, right? And did that with every single person that I feel resentment towards. All of that is like I open up the space for clients to come energetically. I energetically was available. I was not a resentful ball of anxiety and blame. I was a clear space. I am not going to judge you, clients. I'm going to hold space for you. I'm going to accept you. I'm going to see you. And literally, clients just kept coming and coming because tactically, I knew exactly the problem that I could help them with, clarifying their message. I started attracting premium clients. So now I knew that I could do that. My clients were signing premium. My clients were making more money than I was making. So I started doubling down on the strategy. Okay, this works. I'm going to stick with it. I'm not going to go and sell a bunch of random things. Keep on selling, magnetize and monetize, and you're one-on-one. So I had 2 offers. And then I started having a different belief system about clients because I was so afraid that they would blame me for their results. I'm like, what if they come and then they blame me for they don't get what they need? So I was limiting myself from having a lot of people in my containers because I thought I'm not going to support them all. And it all really stemmed from me blaming other people for my results and me not believing in myself that I am actually responsible for my own results. My coach wasn't responsible for my results. It was me all along. My thoughts create my feelings, they create my actions, and they create my results. So no one else is responsible. When I had that breakthrough, it was like liberating. I'm like, oh my God, so I get to create my reality really. The way I think is what creates my results. That person's results mean nothing about me. My past results just meant that I was thinking a certain way. Oh, so I dabbled down on believing like, what is the prophecy that I want to fulfill? What are the thoughts that I want to have to create a result that I want? And my thought was, I can help a lot of people. People always get what they came for. And they're capable of creating results, even if I'm not hand-holding them.
Yeah.
That was literally my biggest thing when I was scaling. It was just feeling responsible for other people's results. When we do that, we actually attract people that make us responsible for their results.
Yeah.
So I was attracting people who were like, where are my results? Where are my results? And I was like, oh, see, like, how can I believe that? But it's only because I was creating it in my mind. That fear was literally attracting people that had that mentality. So I was like, oh, I'm so sorry, clients. Like, I'm so sorry for making you a victim.
Also, earlier we were talking about assuming that people can't afford it.
Yes.
Like there's many layers of mindset. It comes back to mindset. It comes back to strategy, but like also your own healing. This work is intense. Like to be an entrepreneur, to be a coach, because you have to work on your capacity to hold space for others. You have to work on your capacity to receive. You have to work on your capacity to be rejected. You have to be like, I describe entrepreneurship as like driving around a curve on 2 wheels, like at all times. You're just kind of like, I don't know what's coming around the corner, but right now I'm just like hitting this just right. And you just have to trust that where you are right now is where you're meant to be. And you're meant to learn these lessons right now. So if you do only have like 1 client that comes through in your first launch, that's something to be celebrated. And there's
100%.
Something that you can learn from that too.
Yeah.
You didn't mention this, but I feel like this is important in terms of like looking through patterns, realizing like, oh, all of these one-on-one clients I've worked with, they all have these same problems. So then I can put together this group to teach them. Getting feedback from the people that you're working with is so important, and just listening to them and paying attention. And I feel like I'm really learning that from you today. It's just like, there's always something that you can learn in every moment, even when you're like, why is this happening to me?
100%.
I'm supposed to be rich. I'm supposed to make 150K today. So trusting, for me, it just feels like these last 2 conversations have been a lot about trust and timing too.
Timing, trust, and also knowing that it's twofold. It is really the strategy, the action that you take, refining that and being consistent and committed. It's being committed to the process, not being attached to the outcome. Because I see my clients being attached to, I need to make this much money this month. And what if you're meant to make it 5 months from now? Why can't you just commit to the process of who you become along the way? If you become somebody who can trust the process and is taking the aligned action, is experimenting, is showing up, it's inevitable that you're going to be rich.
Yeah.
It's inevitable that you're going to get your result. The only way that your result is not guaranteed is if you decide, oh, well, it didn't work.
If you give up, if you don't like let...
You're like, oh, yeah, see, it works for everyone, but not for me.
Giving up midway through launch and making that true switch from, it's not a matter of if it's going to happen, it's when. And like trusting the when.
Correct.
So I want to talk about pricing, because you did have a time where you lowered your pricing. So you got the $15,000 offer and then you were like, oh, and then you went down to 10,000.
Yeah.
How has your ability to price your offers since then changed? And how do you approach the way that you decide what you're going to charge?
Great question. So I sold my one-on-one coaching for $10,000 for a year. And that's how I made the $123,000. Okay. Then I started the following year raising it to 15. So January, I'm going to charge 15,000. And I realized that it's all just a thought. Pricing is a thought. Nobody can tell you what to charge. It's your decision. It's not the market that tells you anything. It's your belief about your ability to sell at that price and your ability to believe that your clients want to pay that. If you don't believe they want to pay it, you're just not going to attract them. I started to believe people do want to pay me. People want to pay me. Why? Because I'm amazing at what I do, because I'm an amazing coach, because they need help. So my belief in myself kept compounding and I started working with clients, getting results. So from January, I started at 15K and then I ended the year charging for the same package, 55,000.
Wow.
For the same package, 6 months, 3 monthly calls. That's all.
$55,000.
$55,000 per person.
So did you have a coach being like, raise your prices? Or were you just like, nope, I can do this?
I actually joined a mastermind and the coach's mentality was underprice and oversell. And I was like, what? I am not going to do that. I'm going to take what the goodness in it, because remember, I always get what I came for, right? I'm not going to be bitching about my coach. I'm going to be taking what I need and then deciding on my own what's right for me. So my mentality was, no, actually, I can raise my prices. And the interesting thing is that I remember going to the Facebook group of that mastermind and saying, hey guys, I want to raise my price from 30 to 45,000 and I'm terrified. Like, what thoughts do I need to believe?
Oh, that's good.
Because it was a program that was all about your thoughts create your reality. Like really what you need to think in order to make money. And every peer came back saying, why do you want to raise your prices? Why do you want to do that? And I'm like, oh, that's right. I need to hold the belief. So I decided, okay, I'm not going to ask for validation from anybody. What do I need to believe in order to charge $45,000? And I remember I hired somebody to do a hypnosis of something for the purpose of believing that. I didn't even get the hypnosis back and I had my $45,000 client. What happened that year is very simple. I coach myself every day into believing that what I wanted was possible, that I could make $1 million, that I could make $1 million. So my goal was I want to make 600,000, right? I decided to raise my prices whenever the fuck I wanted to. So I went from 15 to 20 to 25 to 30 to 40 to 45 within the space of a year. I didn't wait to have like stabilize the price, even though the year before I was just selling at 10,000. I quantum leaped my belief. Why? Because I was coaching myself every day into the belief that I could make $600,000. I can't. All I need is a couple of clients at this price. All I need is that. And I coach myself every day through all my limiting beliefs. So my value as a coach increased because my brain was increasing. I also hired coaches and they were coaching me in believing that I could hold space for a room of 20 people. I was investing in myself. Therefore, my belief in me increased. Therefore, I was a better coach. Why shouldn't I charge more? I'm a more effective coach every day. And the results were showing with my clients. I was able to coach them in one session, what I used to do in 3 sessions.
Yeah.
So I was like, it makes total sense that I raise my prices. I'd rather say no to a $30,000 client than say yes because I'm going to resend the delivery.
Yeah. And how much you give.
The value that I give is exponential. It's a lifetime value. And so I stopped pricing based on what other people were pricing. I stopped looking at what my peers were charging because they were under the belief that you have to undercharge and oversell. So that was really big for me, that I could make a decision on my own and I didn't need the validation of a coach to do it. And instead of making $600,000 that year, I ended up making my first $1 million. So I did it with one-on-one coaching. I did it with launching the Magnetize and Monetize Mastermind 3 times a year and having 30 to 35 people in each round. And at the final quarter of that year, I actually launched the Momentum Mastermind, which is only available for people who graduate Magnetize, where I help them literally make at least $250,000 a year and then double from there. So
Cool.
double to 500K to $1 million. And that was my first launch of it. And my clients just really wanted to continue working with me. That got me to my first $1 million.
So you started to just feel the momentum of like, oh, it is up to me. Like I do create my own reality. I decide. And like you have your moments too, where you do post in the group and you're like, hey guys, thinking about raising my prices. And even their responses is like, duh, why did I even ask them? I don't want to ask for directions to places I know they have never been, like just
Totally.
fully.
Who are you asking? The question is so important.
It's protecting your dream. And it goes back to what we talked about earlier, finding people who can hold your vision. And hiring a coach can be and will be life-changing for you.
Yeah, the coach that I hired who was saying don't raise your prices because that's not the vibe. I still learned so much from that coach. She helped me get rid of sales calls. Like I don't sell on sales calls anymore. People just pay me $10,000 to join the Magnetize and Monetize Mastermind, which is unheard of. I don't know anyone who has a business model that I have. Because as I was scaling, I was working a lot. I was doing sales calls for people, delivering programs. I was working like 40-hour week, which is a lot for me. Like 40-hour weeks is a lot. I'm like, I want to work less.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no way that I could have scaled if I had just continued taking calls. And that coach taught me that is a thought that I had that people needed sales calls. Why? And I'm like, well, because they need my presence to work through their belief. They need to hear from me. And I realized, oh my God, my ego wants sales calls. I think they're not capable to make a decision and that they need me to make that decision. So I was like, oh, whoa, I'm sorry, future clients, for thinking that you can make your own decisions. And I shifted my funnel, like my whole marketing funnel, to be as simple as you see a post or an email, you send an application, you get an acceptance or rejection email, like a yes, you're accepted or no, you're not the right fit. And then you pay on your own. Because my marketing literally is so good that does all the heavy lifting. I literally give so much in my marketing that people just come decided that they want to buy from me. And that's the marketing that I teach my clients. How can you help somebody make the decision ahead of time so that you don't have to do heavy lifting in your sales calls, so that you don't have to go convince people. They come already decided.
Yeah.
That's the vibe I always wanted.
Which comes back to attracting. How do you attract? You show up.
You show up and you're generous.
You don't have to cold call people. You don't, because I know people get the ick of selling and like, oh, I feel like I don't want to sell. Like, don't sell then. Just be and like embody and attract.
Yeah. And like, well, for me, I love selling. Like, I think selling is the most delicious thing ever. I love making money. I love selling. Selling to me is the most intimate conversation you can have with somebody. So I love sales. The only reason why I got really good at not having sales calls is because I was really good at sales calls. I did sales calls over and over again where I understood my ideal client. I understood their problem and I understood how they buy. They don't want to be pressured. They don't want to be manipulated. They don't want to be convinced. They want to feel like they are making their own decision. And what I do in my sales calls, what I used to do in sales calls is I was like, look, let's look at what does your future self want? And then what is your inner child afraid of? And I would guide them through that very elegantly when we would talk about the objections and the fears because they're normal. People go to try to overcome objections from like, let me convince you. And what I teach inside of Magnetize and Monetize Mastermind in terms of sales is so different. Women buy differently. Yeah. Coaches buy differently. They know what you're doing. They know sales. They know they're sophisticated. So it's a very different type of sales experience that they need in order to fully trust you. So what I did is I had 100% conversion rates in all my calls, that my schedule was full. I was like, why don't I take all of this that I've learned about sales and turn it into what I do on my sales calls? And I broke all the marketing rules about video sales letters and, sales videos. I was like, none of those templates the marketing bros teach. And I literally did a video in my sales page that is literally like I'm asking them to meditate on it. Like, who does that? But it's because this is something that we do on the call. Like I used to guide them through this whole visualization. And so that style of selling, I only figured it out because I was willing to get rejected. I was willing to get it wrong. I was willing to do sales calls. And I always tell my clients, learn how to do sales calls, learn how to sell, love the process of selling, love the process of getting payment on the phone. Why are you afraid of that? Oh, I don't want to be pressured. But majority of the time, if you're not willing to ask for a credit card on the phone, is because you have a belief that you shouldn't be doing that. That's pressuring, that's pushy. And that's what they're thinking. I don't know, I need to think about it. Oh, I need to really think about it. That's because you think they need to think about it.
Yeah.
That you're creating that reality. My belief is my clients are powerful decision makers and they're ready to make a decision now. I believe that about my people, period. And that's how people show up. So I take payment on the phone. They feel there's no reservations, there's no buyer's remorse because we've come to a decision that feels so fucking good in their bodies.
Yeah.
That they're like, oh, thank God. Thank you. I want to thank God I made this payment. It feels like they feel delicious.
A relief.
Yeah. Like,
yeah.
I found somebody who can guide me, who can help me, who has my back. Like, yes. So for me, sales are delicious. I love, if you like money, you need to like sales.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
wow. Yeah. I mean, she's coaching me over here. And all of this is like how you made your first million. So in the next episode, you're going to go into scaling that from 1 million to multi-millions.
Yes.
And we are so excited to tune into that.
Yes. I want you guys to know that in the next episode, shit's going to go down. Like, you think that you hit 1 million and then your problems are solved. There's new problems and new mindset shifts that I can't wait to share with you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Look, I'm going to be honest. I never like leaving reviews or sharing episodes unless it's something that really moved me. So if this show resonated with you today, please leave a review. It would mean the world to me. And send it to somebody who really wants to know the raw, exposed truth about what it really takes to create $1 million business and a delicious life. And as a thank you, I'm gifting you a free mini course about the 3 mistakes that coaches make that repel premium clients and how to fix it so that you can start attracting clients now. Check out the show notes to access it, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.